I prepared a file that we will use for drawing our paths with the pen tool. It's always a good idea to have a tracing guide. You should always work up what the shapes are on paper with a pencil and refine it, and then place it in to Illustrator and use it. In order to place that file, I will go to the menu at the top, click on File, Place, and I will be placing pentool 01-tracing.tif. I will click to select that, make sure that link is unchecked, and click on the Place tool. What that gives me then is a loaded cursor. If I go to that upper right hand corner and click, you'll see that it's placed that file. I'm just going to scoot it over a little bit into the center of the document. If we look at this layer here, it's a blue layer, and I want to make sure that this doesn't move around when we are working. So I'm going to click right here to lock that layer. At that point, I'll create a new layer down here, create new layer. I'm going to double click on it and call it tracing. And that will be my active layer. You'll notice that it's a red layer. Go over here, reset these to a white fill and a black stroke. For the black stroke, just so that we can see it differently above what we're tracing, I'm actually going to pick a blue color. And looking at this first path, we'll notice that there are no curves in it. So we will not be needing direction handles. With the pen tool then, I'll just begin here. It is important to note that when you first start drawing with the pen tool, there's that asterisk there. That means it's ready to begin to start drawing a new path. If you do not see the icon of the pen tool, it is because you have your cap locks on, and I would recommend that you not have your cap locks on so that you can actually see the tool and you can see that little asterisk. So we can begin now, and I'll go click, click, just looking for those points where the path changes directions, which is essentially just these corners. And when I'm done, press the escape key. Otherwise, you will continue to draw the path when you think that you have released the tool. I'll press the V key so that I can select this and move it out of the way for now. You'll notice that the path has a fill on it because I cannot see through here to what's below. Typically, when you're drawing a line path that's not closed, you would not have a fill on it. So I'll click here to bring that to the foreground, or up here. And in this case, I'm going to select no fill or none. And now you can see through those areas that were previously filled. Press the P key again to get back to the pen tool. This time, as I draw, if I want to get these corners to be perfect right angles, I will hold the Shift key down. Start here, then hold the Shift key down, and you'll see that you're constrained here to moving directly across and only having those right angles. And then once again, press the escape key. For a moment, I go over here and turn the tracing layer off. You'll see what we have drawn. Turning the tracing back on, and with the direct selection tool, I can select these And you'll notice I had a little bit of trouble doing that. That's because there is no fill on them. So I need to make sure that I either drag over it or I click right on the path to select it, and you can see that that's difficult. I'm going to hold the shift key down and just scale these down. And in fact, move them off of the artboard. At this point, I would like to go down here and look at this teardrop shape. And obviously, it does have curves on it. Press the P key to get my pen tool. I'm ready to begin to draw a new path. And whenever you begin to draw a more complex path, what you need to do is take a moment to look at it and to figure out where things are changing direction, and if they are curves or they are corners. The other thing you can do when there are curves is you look inside it and try and see if you can place some type of oval that you can use then to represent the noon, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock positions on a clock. And in fact, to help you see this, I'm going to go over here and get the ellipse tool, and I'm going to just go in here, and I'm not holding the shift key down. I'm just going to try to see if I can match this. And all I'm really trying to do here is, I'm holding down the space bar to move this over, is to see where those positions are. And you'll notice that they are, here is the 9 o'clock, noon, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. So that's telling me where I need to have my direction handles. Get the direct selection tool, and I'm going to move that aside for a moment. Press P to get back to my pen tool. Here we go. I'll start here. There is no curve here, so I'm just going to click. Then I'll go to my 3 o'clock position and click and drag. My 6 o'clock position, click and drag. And you actually don't have to drag it out all the way because you can come back and fix that. Here's my 9 o'clock, I'll click and drag, and then go back to where I began and simply click. At that point, I can press my A key to get my direct selection tool, and then go in here and modify the shape a little bit. The first thing I'll do is select an anchor point and move it. And you might notice that when you're trying to do that, it sort of jumps and doesn't go quite where you want it to go. You want to go up to the View menu and go down here and look at these two items, Snap to Grid and Snap to Point. We want to turn those off. At which point you can more easily move these and position them. And right now I'm just doing the anchor points, and then I can begin to modify the direction handles. If I need to move something just a little bit, if I select it and use my arrow keys, I can nudge it a little bit. In this case, there's not enough length to this. So I can do a couple things. One is to go here and start pulling that down and pulling this. Or another thing I might try, I'm backing out by holding the Command Z, is actually going in here and pulling the path itself. Whichever works best. And then it's just a matter of refining what you've done. So that method of clicking and dragging is the skill level we want to achieve. If it's hard for you to do that, you can approach it in steps. Again, I'll press the P key to get that. And all I'm going to do this time is just click wherever I think there needs to be a direction handle. So in other words, I'm not trying to click and then click and drag. I'm just marking where I think the path needs to change direction. And we've done that and closed it off. At that point, we can get the Add Anchor Point tool, which is Shift plus C, and that is what the anchor point tool looks like. And I can actually approach this a couple different ways. I can actually just go down here and click on that and drag it. Click on this and drag it. Click on this and drag it. And click on this and drag it. And pretty easy to do. At that point, I could hit the A key to get my direct selection tool and make some simple modifications. Now, I want you to take note of the fact that these direction handles are broken. So they're not teeter-tottering together. And if you really want to have a smooth curve going in and a smooth curve going out, those need to be in sync with each other. It's easy to change that. What you can do is select the anchor point and go up here and click on this Convert Selected Anchor Points to Smooth. And you'll notice when I did that, now the handles teeter-totter with each other. I can also multiply select these. I'll select one and then hold down the Shift key to select the other. Just those two are selected, and I can curve those out as well. I still have my selection tool, and you can go here and see that those are in fact doing what we need to do, and there's a smooth curve going in and a smooth curve going out. And I'm going to go ahead and fill that. With it selected, I can go up here and pick one of these colors here. And now it's filled, which makes it easier to move. Now I would like to show you an intermediate step for drawing paths. Select the pen tool again, go over here. I'll do that same thing where I'm going to just click and try to identify those spots where I think the path needs to change. And you'll notice I had that fill on. That's okay. I can actually, while I'm working, go over here and turn off that fill and then continue going. Click here to close it. Once again, I'm going to get the anchor point tool by holding Shift C, and this time what I want to do is, rather than dragging here, I'm going to actually click here and drag. And you'll see that what I'm basically doing is just creating those direction handles. Again, I don't have to pull it all the way out right now and get it correct. I can come back to that. Click here and drag. Again, I'm dragging in the direction that the curve is moving. Click here and drag. Hold down the A key to get my direct selection tool, and I can continue to refine the path. We've been working for quite some time now, and I haven't saved this file, which is not a good idea. So I'll simply go up here to File, Save, and we'll call it Tracing 01, and I'll be saving it onto my desktop. We can just accept all these defaults and click OK.